All right, welcome everybody to this pick a card reading. And this reading, we're going to be asking if your person of interest, or we're going to be asking how they view your spirituality. So, how they would kind of describe it, how they perceive it to be, how does it make them feel. And then we're going to be asking your guides, how compatible are you and this person in terms of your spiritual beliefs and practices. Now, we don't always have to have the same spiritual beliefs in order for us to be compatible, right? So, we're going to be looking more into all of that. Excuse me. We have 6 reading options, which you can see below you, and they're represented by these 6 flowers that you would have also seen on the thumbnail image. Now, I would encourage you to be in touch with your intuition in the way that works best for you. I'll describe what currently works best for me, but it may or may not work for you because everyone is individual and we all connect to our intuition in unique ways. But when I'm choosing a pick a card option, let's say if I'm watching a video that has 3 options, I will pull a tarot card from for each of those 3 piles or 3 options. And if any of those are a major arcana card, then I will take that message to be meant for me. And, I had someone who said, well, I had multiple major arcana cards come up. Then that can mean that there are multiple readings in that particular video that have a message for you. Now, if there are too many, or if those are longer readings and you don't want to watch them all, you can just shuffle and pull a card again and say, well, I want the one that has the strongest resonance for me. And if you have any that come up with multiple major arcana cards, then that's going to have an especially strong message for you if this works for you to begin with. So it can be something to practice and see if it works. If not, keep trying. If you're trying to figure out what works best for you, that can just be something to try. If you're new to tarot, people can have a tendency to get scared of certain cards. There are no cards to be feared in the tarot. They all just help to explain certain archetypal energies. The death card is about death and rebirth. It's about going through a transformative process, which is what life is all about. We come into life through a death and rebirth process. When we're little babies and we're born, we come into the world screaming. It's a little bit terrifying, right? But, that doesn't mean that we think that birth is a bad thing, right? But in that moment, it seemed scary. And throughout our lives, we continue to have moments where certain things in our life change and we grow and we evolve. And again, that's a lot of what the death card speaks about. The Devil card can talk about our attachments to ego, which we all have. And so again, that is nothing to be feared. The Tower card can symbolize moments of enlightenment that can be sort of disillusioning. And again, that can be a bit of a scary experience when suddenly our minds and our awareness has expanded. We're like, whoa, that was a truth that I wasn't aware of, and now I am. And so now I have to exist in a different kind of truth or a different kind of awareness. And so when it initially happens, it can get us a little bit shook, right? And that's what the Tower card indicates. It's really moments of enlightenment that can be experienced as moments of disillusionment. And disillusionment can be a little bit disturbing. But it is all a part of the experience of life and something to be embraced. So those are some of the cards that people tend to be more scared about. There can be other cards that people have fears about as well. But another way that you might connect with which of these readings is right for you is just you might be drawn to one of these flowers more than another. There might be a certain synchronicity with you connected to one of these flowers. Maybe one of the flowers has a special meaning to you, and so that could be where your message is. So again, I would encourage you as you are continuing to develop your intuition, and everybody, no matter where they are, no matter how strong their intuitive or psychic abilities are, they always have the opportunity to continue to develop. It's just like anything, right? So Let's say you're a professional basketball player, but then you're off season for a while and you don't keep up with it. When you come back, you might be a little bit rusty or out of shape. So it's just like with anything else. The more you put into the development of your intuition, the more strength you will see with your intuition. So the first option here is Pansy. Number 2 is Asters. Number 3 is Honeysuckle. Number 4 is Tulip. Number 5 is Primrose. And number 6 is Gladiola. All right, so the timestamps for all of those options are going to be in the description area and at the top of the comments, pinned to the top there. So whenever you have chosen your reading or readings, I will see you there. All right, welcome to everybody who chose reading number 1. Let me just light some Palo Santo for you. So the reading you chose was the Pansy reading, and that card says, Sweet thoughts. Pray you love, remember, and there are pansies. That's for thoughts. So they see you as someone who remembers that spirituality is about love, but it's also a process of connecting to thoughts and the beauty of thoughts and ideas. I see this as well demonstrated here with the Page of Swords. They view you as someone who you're connected to your spirituality. This is the way they see it. Through your passion and your heart, but also through your mind. So there's a union or an integration here of heart and mind, which are, heart is more of the feminine principle, mind is more of the masculine principle. And you're someone who brings that together. I feel like they see you because this card, this is from the Osho Zen Tarot. This is their version of the Temperance card. So especially coming up here next to Courage, which is their version of the Strength, 2 major arcana cards, they see you as someone who I feel like is both someone who has a lot of spiritual wisdom to convey and share with others. So a spiritual teacher in a way, even if you don't see yourself as that in a formal fashion, this person sees you as someone who has a lot of wisdom. But you're also someone who's always seeking wisdom from others. So I see that here with this larger flower and this smaller flower. Sometimes you're the larger flower and you have a lot to share with people to bring their awareness up to where your awareness is in a certain area. And sometimes it's the opposite and you're someone who really embraces that. We also have, I think it's Kernunos, Life Force, express your driving passion. Sensual and sexual powers are increased. And then we have Playfulness from Osho Zen, which is, I think it's the Page of Fire or the Knight of Fire, Knight of Wands, one of those. But yeah, you're someone who also, you don't separate spirituality from everyday sensual experience. And especially with this wine card as well, you might be someone who really likes to indulge in quote unquote worldly or sensual pleasure. So food and drink, maybe drug use even, some of you, or just having fun, you're someone who likes to laugh and really enjoy life, embrace life sensually. All of your 5 earthly senses, you don't view that as being separate from your spirituality. It's all one and the same. Let's see. I feel like they think also that you have sort of an easygoing approach to your spirituality. They might view you as someone who's always open to new ideas. And then when you find a new idea that really works for you, you really leap into it. You don't worry. You're like, oh, let me go with this and see where this takes me. And because of this, you're always someone who's very open to the evolution of your soul. You're not afraid to reinvent yourself as it comes to your spirituality, because your connection to source becomes stronger and stronger through that ability to continue to change and evolve. They also see you as someone who really trusts your own wisdom, your own inner guidance as well. You're not disconnected from that. Some of you might be have more of like a pagan approach to spirituality, or like pagan, maybe shamanistic, something that's a little bit more connected to Mother Earth in some way, but also connected to intellectual pursuits as well. Like you're able to bring both of those together. So this is how they see it. So let's ask, how does it make them feel? How does your spirituality make them feel? Well, they like it. I feel like sometimes it makes them feel like maybe they aren't as developed as you are spiritually. So they feel like they're still sort of, they're like, well, you know, this might be someone who's been a bit more practical in some way. They aren't as, maybe aren't quite as open-minded as you, but they find it very exciting to observe the way that you approach your spirituality. It definitely is something that they are attracted to, and it makes them feel, they feel the love. You know, they feel that you're someone who's very connected to love, and they feel it. They feel that your love is also expressed towards them. They feel it expressed in this heartfelt, passionate way. They also have these heartfelt, passionate feelings for you, and part of it is because they enjoy your approach to spirituality. But I do feel like with Seven of Pentacles, sometimes they sort of feel like, you know, they're like, well, you've got these 4 pentacles. Here I am. I've just got 2 in my little potted plant here of my spirituality. You know, but I do think at some level as well, because we have this card coming up with underneath the Strength card here, you know, they do see that you both have something to offer each other. You know, so it's not one-sided, but they do definitely feel like your approach to spirituality has really led you to a lot of tremendous, maybe even rapid growth at times. You go through times of rapid growth in your spiritual development. So that's how they feel about it. They feel overall very good, but a little bit of self-doubt maybe about their own path. So what does Spirit have to say about your compatibility? Okay, so I have one of you represented by the Moon and one of you represented here by Taurus. So again, I feel like this is probably them because this is representing someone who might be a little bit more practical. And someone else is maybe a little bit more intuitive here. But I kind of think it balances out a little bit. I think you both are connected to intuitive, both intuitive and practical, earthly, sensual. Because Taurus is also about, you know, enjoying sensuality, the 5 senses. It's the sign that is most closely associated with the planet Earth. You know, we think, you know, Venus is technically the ruler of both Libra and Taurus, but if Taurus were to have its own distinct planetary ruler, a lot of people argue that it would be the Earth itself that would be the planetary ruler of Taurus. And I feel like both of you probably share that interest in more of an Earth-based spirituality in a way. So it is grounded in like the 5 senses. But there is a connection to the 6th sense as well. So I do feel like with receptivity being the card between the two of you, sort of the shared energy, I do feel like there is a balance. Like both of you have that. One of you might have a stronger emphasis on the intuitive, and one might have a stronger emphasis on more of the earthly or grounded energy of this. But yeah, it definitely is very harmonious here because we have receptivity. I feel, again, I kind of feel like this person feels like they don't have as much to offer. You know, they see you as just embodying so much ethereal, I don't know, intuitive wisdom. And they're like, well, I have this tiny little gift. You know, I have something to offer you as well. I have something to share. And you know that. You see it very clearly. And sometimes they see it more about themselves, but then sometimes they're a little bit more in a feeling of self-doubt. But you both are very receptive to what the other has to offer. Very receptive. So yes, this is a very harmonious, yeah, this is some good energy. Definitely a lot of mutual respect here and lots of opportunities to learn and grow from your association with each other. So, Pansy people, thank you so much for watching. I hope that you enjoyed that, and I'll see you later. Bye-bye. All right, welcome to everyone who chose reading number 2, which was the Asters. And that card says, elegance and patience. Nature does not hurry, yet everything is accomplished. And it's coming up next to this 2 of Pentacles card, or 2 of Rainbows from the Osho Zen. That's their version of Pentacles. And it says moment to moment. So I feel like they see you as someone who sort of takes your time with your spirituality. You don't feel like you have to rush into some sort of like great epiphany, that you approach spirituality just step by step, moment to moment. They might see you as someone as well who likes to really embrace living in the moment. It's kind of the same energy here with the Fool card as well. Fool card and moment to moment, like, oh, just stepping into the moment. You might be someone who's very interested in like the power of now, or mindfulness, or that type of approach to spirituality. Just embracing this moment right now, the present moment. And they just feel like you approach your spirituality in such a beautiful, elegant way. It's just so refined and sort of carefree, but balanced at the same time. The initial feeling I got, we have Green Terra, Supreme Protection. You are protected. Cords are being cut. Move beyond limitation and trust. With Beyond Illusion and We Are the World, like, they see you as someone who embraces love, and you're someone who can see beyond this illusion or this limitation that we are separate. You definitely are someone who embraces this idea that of inclusivity, that we are one, that there aren't any limits. This divisiveness that we experience, that we're sort of taught to see ourselves as separate. You see beyond that illusion. I feel with all the beautiful, I thought this was Kuan Yin at first, I wasn't paying attention. But with all the beautiful green energy, I feel like, again, they just feel like you emanate so much from your heart space. You're someone who's just extremely loving. They might see you as well as being sort of protected in a sense, spiritually protected or something along those lines, or someone who's able to have trust and faith. They see you as someone who has a lot of faith, I think, because, you're not entrapped by the limitation of fear either. I do see, so we have Beyond Illusion and then Book, which is about hidden secrets. Again, they feel like you're someone who can see beyond the, I don't know how else to say it, beyond the illusion. Like, you see the truth. You see the truth of life, which is very loving. It's not this fear-based lie that we are fed. You're able to really view what life would be like for all of us if we weren't limited by fear, or like a fear-based mentality. Now, that doesn't mean that you wouldn't ever have moments of fear, but I feel like, and again, this is their perception of you, and their perception of you isn't necessarily the truth of who you are, or it may not be how you perceive yourself, but they see you as someone who's not really held back so much by fear. You have this sort of like inner peace. They see you as someone who's very connected to a sense of inner peace, trust. Maybe you even have like a great deal of faith in humanity, despite, a lot of what we see and hear in the news. Like, you're someone who still really believes in the human spirit, and, that moments are just moments, and a moment does not define the whole truth. It's just a moment. They do see you as someone who's on sort of a spiritual quest, but not in a hurry, So like we have the geese and the loon coming up next to each other. The geese are flying, they're migrating. But then at times you're more like the loon, where you're just, you're kind of taking a moment to wade around in the pool of life, so to speak, and the waters of life, and really just enjoy and embrace the moment. And then maybe there are times, again, you step back and forth between these two stones of forward movement and then being sort of more placid and content. You have like this real calm energy. That's how they see you. Very calm. But you go back and forth between migrating and moving forward and just being in the moment and appreciating where you are. And wow, this moment is enough. Where I'm currently at in my spiritual journey, this is more than enough. This is beautiful. And then you go back again to being a little bit more driven to move forward and make some sort of spiritual progress. But then you go back to this feeling like, oh, I'm very established. My roots are secure. I'm developing over time and maturing spiritually over time. And they just see you as someone above, far beyond anything else. You're someone who just feels like you want to connect to the serenity of just experiencing life. Sometimes your spirituality makes you feel more driven towards change, but then at other times you just exude this sense of peacefulness, that all is well, all is as it should be. So how does your spirituality make them feel? Well, they do feel very balanced. We have 2 6s here, which are all about balance and harmony. So they feel that your spiritual beliefs are very in harmony with their own. We have the Hierophant coming up in between them. So one of you, or maybe both of you at some level, are drawn to maybe more traditional or dogmatic teachings, like, maybe religious teachings at some level. But they feel, or like reaching towards the wisdom of great spiritual teachers or something like that, but like sort of established spiritual teachings. But they feel like there's a good balance here of give and take. They feel, we're going to ask what Spirit thinks of it here in a moment, but your love interest feels that, it is very balanced. It feels very safe and secure. So they definitely feel that there's a great harmony. And they also feel, again, there's just this kind of this quiet energy of, yes, spiritually, there's a desire to move forward, but this isn't a speedboat, right? It's a rowboat. And this is just slow, calm movement, just enjoying these serene waters, the serene waters of life. So what does Spirit have to say about it? So we have one of you is represented here by Venus, goddess of love. I feel like that's you, because my very first impression from this when I was laying out the cards was love. They just feel like you are like a reverberation of love. And then we have Leo, Queen of Fire. So I think that, and then the word authoritative is here. I feel like this might be someone who has a stronger need than you do to kind of like maybe lead other people to believe as they do. So your love interest might be a little bit more dogmatic themselves in that way, but they view the two of you as being harmonious. Maybe because they see your beliefs as being in alignment with theirs, and they do prefer that other people have similar beliefs to them. That's what I feel with this Leo card. And then I feel like you are probably more accepting of people who might have different belief systems from you, because you feel like at the root of it all, it's all just about love anyway. I think your love interest might be a little bit, they believe in that too, love, but they also they do have a stronger desire for other people to share their spiritual beliefs. But from their point of view, the two of you do seem to share beliefs in a way that feels good to them. Now, what does Spirit think? We have experiments, manipulation of nature, forcing change, cruelty in the pursuit of knowledge, and arrogance. I feel like your spirit guides do feel like, you know, you're coming at it all from a place of just, it's all about love. And I think that they are just putting up a little bit of a caution here. This looks like a scary card, so I don't feel like you need to be scared of this person or think that they're manipulative or like some sort of like evil force or anything. I don't think that that's what it is. This is also the 33 card, which is a card of spiritual balance and harmony, or just balance and harmony in general. So it's not necessarily bad. They just feel like, you know, you might want to experiment with this person's dogmatic beliefs, you know, because they do want to share their beliefs with you, but they might have kind of more of a strong desire to impose their beliefs on you than what would be good for you from the perspective of your own spirit guides. So your spirit guides are saying, you know, listen to them, listen to what they have to say, listen to what they have to offer, and then find what works for you, but leave the rest. Definitely be willing to leave the rest. Don't allow this person to force you to feel like you have to believe what they believe. You know, that makes this person feel more in harmony, but it really isn't what's right for you. So I hope that that makes sense for everyone who chose the Asters. I want to thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you later. Bye-bye. All right. Hello to everybody who chose reading number 3, which was Honeysuckle, one of my favorite flowers. Let's see. It says domestic happiness and devoted affection. I hope this smoke doesn't make my alarm go off. I will wind thee in my arms. So doth the woodbine, the honeysuckle, gently entwist. William Shakespeare. Well, this person feels very affectionate towards you, so that's, I'm just getting their feelings for you first off, but gosh, they see you as, in terms of how they see your spirituality or your approach to it, they feel like you have such a cosmic sense of oneness. You know, if you see yourself as a starseed, I feel like they're aware of that. But whether it's that or not, like they just sense that you are sort of otherworldly in some sort of way. Because we, in both of these cards, and this is the like the High Priestess from the Cosmic Tarot. This is the Magician, Existence, I believe, or maybe it's the Fool. I don't know. But either way, like, wow, look at that. We have the Cosmos, Mahavatar Babaji, soul expansion. Your consciousness is expanded. You understand the connections between all things. They just view you as extremely enlightened and maybe very connected to otherworldly or other dimensional existence or knowledge. With the High Priestess here, inner voice, they see you as that your spiritual belief system has a lot to do with a very, very strong, intense connection to divine awareness, to your psychic capabilities. And then we have going with the flow. I definitely feel like they see you as someone who really trusts your cosmic connection. You really trust your intuition, your inner guidance, your spiritual guidance. I feel like with domestic happiness and harmony and the broom coming up underneath, they might be able to envision having sort of a domestic life with you. But I do feel as well that there may be some mixed feelings about that at the same time, because the broom is about sweeping something away. So we'll see more about what that is. We also have stalemate. It's just an interesting set of energies here. I feel like they feel a strong connection to you. They might even also feel that cosmic connection to you in a way, but they might feel that in a practical sense, maybe it wouldn't work out. Like they can sort of envision it, but at the same time, like the two of you living together, being domestic, for example, but at the same time, they feel like there is sort of a separation. Like We have this stalemate card, and then we have these train tracks. These train tracks are always going to be next to each other, running in the same direction, but they never meet, right? They're always parallel to each other, but never actually meeting. So I feel like that's kind of how they see the two of you, that you both are kind of headed in the same direction spiritually, but that maybe there's no way in a practical sense for the two of you to really come together. So I think that's what this broom is about. They can envision domestic harmony with you in a sense, but at the same time, they're like, I don't know. I don't know that it could ever come together in that way. They do view you as someone who right now is really kind of at the top of your game, so to speak, in terms of your spiritual enlightenment or your spiritual awareness. They feel like you've reached a real pinnacle at the moment. They might be viewing themselves as someone who's kind of like more at a phase, and we all go through phases, right? So they might see that they're more at this phase of being, needing to rise up, you know, and we go through those periods. It's like being hit with waves. The tide's coming in, the tide's coming out. They feel like for you, the tide has really come in terms of your spiritual connection. I feel like this is someone, again, you're like these train tracks running in the same direction. So they have a similar spiritual aspiration as you. They align to their spiritual in a very similar way as you, but it's like you stay on separate paths. I'm also seeing you like as these two dolphins. One dolphin is rising up, one dolphin is diving deep, and neither of those are bad. They might also sense that there is a little bit of a faded quality to this connection that the two of you have. They might see that you're also someone who is able to utilize your spiritual awareness or consciousness to bring good fortune into your life. So maybe like law of attraction type of thing, or manifestation, or being with the flow of life and just trusting that all will be well. They kind of see you as being like that as well. So how does your spirituality make them feel? For some reason, I only got one card coming up for you all for this question. And I kind of feel like, again, it's sort of like what the broom is saying, that despite the fact that they feel a sort of connection with you emotionally and spiritually, they might feel an energy that I need to walk away from you in order to find myself. So they might feel like your vibrations are running so high right now that they don't want to be so influenced by that, because that would make them lose themselves in a sense. So they do feel, at least in terms of your spiritual journey, that they have to move away from you to really find what's true for themselves. So in terms of how much harmony the two of you have, let's see what your guides have to say about it. Are the two of you in harmony? So we have Pisces, which I think is representing you and this cosmic connection, just this very expanded, otherworldly, high psychic ability, sensitivity, that you are in touch with these psychic cosmic impressions. And then we have them, I feel like, represented by Virgo. And it's interesting, again, there's so much like opposition here, but also like complementary in a way, because Virgo is actually the opposite sign to Pisces. So again, I feel like this person feels, and Spirit is in agreement, that the two of you have complementary paths, but they're paths that don't really meet in a way. But I feel like if the two of you could bring yourselves together, I mean, there is harmony here because we have Lemuria returns, earthy spirituality. So it's like the earthiness of Virgo with that higher vibrational awareness of Pisces, community, ocean conservation. Yeah. So if you brought together the energy of Virgo and Pisces, if you brought together the energy that each of you brings to your spiritual approach, it would be like Lemuria returns, like this feeling of like a spiritual paradise or heaven on earth. So yes, there's a lot of harmony, but it might be a harmony that requires this sort of separation in a way. Let me see. Let me kind of understand feel like there's more of a message here. I'm going to use the Everyday Witch Tarot. What is Spirit trying to say? So definitely they feel like there's harmony. Harmony, but duality in a sense, but at the same time you're walking in the same direction. In the same direction, but separate. And it could be a momentary separation, you know, like that it just isn't time for Lemuria, so to speak, metaphorically. It isn't time for Lemuria to return. So it isn't necessarily the time for the two of you to really merge your spiritual beliefs. But if and when that time came, we have the Ten of Cups. I mean, this could be extremely harmonious. You could potentially have this domestic bliss and happiness with this person. But I feel like it's sort of about timing. And I think they're saying without judgment, this could be the time for people to follow their own, you know, dance to the beat of their own drummer. And you have different drummers, but with the same goal in mind. And I think you're both going to, it's sort of like if you can imagine you're both climbing the same mountain, but you're climbing opposite sides of the mountain. Eventually you're going to arrive in the same place, but you both need your own individual journeys as far as that goes. Gosh, but it's beautiful. I feel like the love between the two of you, the love and the appreciation is so strong. You know, I just feel like it's a situation where if the two of you sat down and tried to talk too much about spirituality, it would be a little bit too much of like a tug of war, or whether you intended to or not, you might throw each other off of balance like this. And you both need to stay in your own balance as it relates to your own spiritual growth and forward movement. So, but you're both arriving again you're both arriving at the same destination, which I believe is the destination that we're all arriving at, which is this experience of ascension, which is like Lemuria returns, the heaven on earth experience. You know, we can see Lemuria as an attempt at achieving that, an attempt that did not last ultimately. But I think we're moving towards another period of that. I think it's one that will be more lasting. But either way, it's going to be a beautiful experience. And the two of you are going to be able to share that. If you're both alive at that moment when we have more of this collective ascension on earth, yeah, there's going to be some sort of a reunion between the two of you, I feel like. It may be in this lifetime, it may be in another lifetime, but it will be very blissful and harmonious and sort of domestic. The two of you could, and again, this might be this lifetime or another, the two of you might have a family, domestic harmony and bliss together, and be able to share your spirituality that you've arrived at, coming at it from opposite sides of that same mountain, so to speak. So that was a really interesting reading. I hope that that was helpful to you guys. I want to thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you later. Bye-bye. All right, welcome to people who chose the Tulip, which was reading number 4. And this card says, friendship and gratitude. Let us be grateful for the people who make us happy. They are the charming gardeners who make our souls blossom. Marcel Proust. So that's a very beautiful quote. And then we have from the Osho Zen Tarot this card, which is the Two of Water, or the Two of Cups, and it says friendliness. So they do feel like, we're starting out with just looking at how this person perceives or how they would describe your spirituality, your approach to spirituality. They feel like you're very friendly. You're open-minded. You're open to other people who are sort of slightly different to you. You know, like these two trees. This is a tree with yellow leaves. This is a tree with red leaves. And then they come together. And then in this merging of coming together, they create these orange leaves. So that's how they see that you are, that you're not afraid of other people having different beliefs than you. And maybe this person feels that they have somewhat different beliefs from you. But they feel like you are very mature when it comes to the way that you speak your truth. It's very important for you to speak your truth. I mean, we have Joan of Arc coming up here. Voice of truth. Stand strong. Focus on your purpose. Release the fear of persecution and speak your truth. So you're not afraid to say, well, this is what I believe. But simultaneously, you're someone who can accept the idea that other people are not going to believe exactly as you do. And you're not going to persecute them because you do not appreciate yourself being persecuted for being able to stand strong in your beliefs. They also see you here with this Tower card, stand alone with silence, that when you encounter people like that who do feel like they need to dominate you or persecute you, ridicule you for the beliefs that you do express openly and honestly, then you're just kind of like, let me go back within, let me retreat back into myself. I'm not afraid to stand alone. So they see you as someone who, if standing up for what you believe requires you to sort of enter this moment of silence where you're alone, you're not afraid of that. You're not afraid to walk the path alone if you have to. But when you find people who are like you in the sense that they can appreciate the fact that not everyone is going to have the exact same beliefs, you are someone who can be so friendly in your expression of your spirituality. I think that they see you as someone who likes to see that we have more similarities than we have differences, and we can build bridges. We can build bridges between the differences in our beliefs if we're able to, if we're able to allow for the fact that there are these differences and that it's okay. It's interesting. We have the cross and the church, and then also Joan of Arc, who, she believed in Christianity, but her approach to that was very different, right? And so some of you might also be aligned with Christianity specifically, because these cards kind of speak to that, but it could be also like a specific religious tradition of any kind, whether it's Christianity or something else. You could be someone, or they see you as someone who does draw upon some of those traditional beliefs, but you do it in your very own unique way, very much like Joan of Arc, right? Because a lot of people saw her as sort of a heretic, but she believed that she was hearing the voice of God. That was her truth, and she spoke her truth, and she wasn't afraid of it. So the person you're watching this for, they view you as someone who's very mature in the way that you go about that. You speak your truth. You accept the fact that other people have truth. You're going to retreat from people who are rude to you because of that. And you'll find true friendship, true kinship bonds with people who have this mutual reciprocity of allowing the other person to have their own beliefs, and then finding that third element that's created, like this Three of Pentacles. What's the third element that's created when you bring together these two different belief systems and blend them and find those moments when they are alike? What's created out of that? It's beautiful. So they see you as someone who's very approachable, I think. Open-minded and approachable. We also have Celtic Knot, unconditional love, legendary, like Joan of Arc is legendary, divine union, eternal love, infinity love, as love of a lifetime. This person, they're definitely in love with you, beyond any of this. And I think part of what they do love is this particular approach you have to your spirituality and speaking your truth and all of that. But I think they may also see you as someone who has like more of a direct connection to the divine, that you might be someone who is maybe able to receive guidance in more of a direct way, and you're not afraid to talk about that. So let's also ask, how does your spirituality make this person feel? I get the Strength card, the Four of Swords, and the High Priestess. Well, it just really puts them at ease, the Four of Swords. The Four of Swords is normally about peacefulness. She doesn't look totally at peace here on this particular card, but it's sort of like, what I kind of feel like is, again, this person is aware that not everyone agrees with your truth. And in fact, they themselves might not agree with it completely, but they don't want you to be hurt by other people's sharp arrows. And they do see that sometimes people do that sometimes people might persecute you more in the light sense of things, maybe not in the same sense that Joan of Arc was persecuted, but yeah, they do see that you might be vulnerable to that. And I kind of see their energy as like these calming clouds and this blue sky out the window. It's like, it makes them feel just sort of like they want to protect you and bring you ease and comfort. But other than that, wow, they just feel like you have such strong energy with the Strength card and the High Priestess. Again, they definitely feel like you have, whether they would put it in these terms or not, like a very open and active crown chakra. So the crown chakra is about our access to the divine. So they see that about you, that you can sort of see beyond the veil, or you can create a thinning of the veil so that you can access that divine awareness more. And to be honest, I feel like it turns them on, It definitely activates their orange or their sacral chakra energy for you. They do feel like you're very attractive. Yeah. So they have passion for you, and they also want to provide you with this sort of serenity and comfort. This is very like unconditional love is what this person feels for you. And that like a desire to sort of protect you. So let's see what your guides say about how harmonious are the two of you in terms of your spiritual beliefs and practices. So we have the Selkie and her skin, reclaiming your authenticity. That's the card that's coming up in between, and I'll explain more about that in a moment. So I feel like representing them as the King of Water, Cancer. So again, just so loving. They have so much love for you. I feel like this person really resonates with that energy of approaching spirituality in a friendly, loving way. Gentleness, nurturing, very warm and caring. And then here you are, Neptune, ruler of enlightenment, inspiration, intuition, psychic ability, spirituality. So these are both watery energies. They are harmonious. I feel like you are maybe a little bit more multi-dimensional than they are. They are probably a little bit more still like third or fourth dimensional. And I think you, at least in moments, have been more capable of accessing that higher dimensional awareness. And I think this person is aware of that. They don't feel bad about it or anything like that. I think your guides are saying that there is a little bit of with the Selkie and her skin, there is a little bit of maybe an interest on their part of having sort of ownership of you. I don't think it's strong because this is the only card that's really representing this to me, but the myth of this Selkie is about the idea that there are these mystical beings called Selkies, which are kind of like a cross between a seal and a mermaid. And if a human man comes across a Selkie, they can steal its skin. You can see her skin is partly off. And if they hide the skin away, then they can make that woman come and be their wife and take care of their children for them. And it's sort of a message of, you have to remain true to yourself. And this, gosh, you're represented here by the Joan of Arc. And this person sees that. They know that about you. They know that you're not going to let go of your authenticity. But I think that there is still at some level that desire of ownership in a way. I think it's just like a little bit of an early warning signal. It's not like, it doesn't mean that this person would be bad for you. I don't sense that at all. I sense a lot of love and a lot of understanding and acceptance of differences. However, there might be, I think you just need to be aware that this person might have, just because of the way that we're socialized, right? They might have an interest in sort of ownership of you in a certain sense, even if they're not consciously aware of it, because consciously they're just coming with a place of love and unconditional love. And I feel like you have that unconditional love for them as well. But because of that, you might be willing to sort of give away certain parts of yourself in order to be more what this person needs. And it's just, I think your guides are just asking you to be aware of that potential. I do feel as well that your guides and angels are around the two of you. I feel like they're trying to assist with this connection in some way. Do they want to say more about that? I feel like they're kind of saying, like, we've got 3 of Cups reversed and the 9 of Cups. The Star reversed. I feel like they don't feel like it's the right time for the two of you to merge. It may be at some point, but again, it's because there is this, I think there's just a little bit of a tendency of maybe for you to give up a little bit of yourself to this person because you love them so much. And in the process, you could lose touch with yourself and with your soul and with your happiness. And so they're saying, take time to continue to just be you, because you don't want to lose that connection that you have to the divine, because you've given away some part of yourself to them. So 3 of Cups reversed, it may not be the time to come into a union with this person. And your guides are trying to direct you away from that because there might be a strong desire within you to do that. And they're just saying the timing isn't now, because you need to become stronger in your own sense of self. Also, in your connection to your own soul, just to not lose touch with that. Yeah. I mean, this person wants a piece of you. They do. And you're willing to give them a piece of you in a way. But you need to be able to learn how to give to this person without giving up your soul, I don't know how. I hope that's coming across. I feel like it's not going to be understood. It's just a time, like, to say it in a different way, I feel like it's just a time to kind of go within right now. Ooh, we have the 3 of Pentacles coming up twice. I feel like there is sort of a collaborative energy. There's a desire to, like, co-create with this person. And I do feel that that's correct, that there is an energy of that the two of you are meant to co-create in some way. Maybe you're meant to work on some project. Maybe you're meant to co-create a life together. Maybe all of the above. But let's hold back for now, with 7 of Pentacles and the reversal. It's like, let's pause and reflect. Pause and reflect and go within. So that you're not in danger of giving something up about yourself that you don't need to give up. But you might sort of want to give that up a little bit just because you love this person. And they are a very loving, kind person. It's not like they're a bad person that you would be giving it up to. But you don't need to give it up regardless of whether this person is nice or not. It belongs to you. You belong to you. Your soul belongs to you. I only sense love here. It's just love within the parameters of you're both human, right? And humans just are going to be human, and sometimes there's an energy of possessiveness that just happens. And you're the Joan of Arc energy. You're not someone who is going to benefit from being possessed at any level at all, So that's why there's this little bit of a warning. So to just pull back, You know, stay with your own energy right now. Focus on you. And that's enough for now. All right, so thank you so much, guys, who chose Tulip. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you later. Bye-bye. All right, welcome to everybody who chose reading number 5, which was the Primrose, which says, youthful love. If I had a single flower for every time I think of you, I could walk forever in my garden. Claudia Adrian Grandi. So first we're just asking, you know, how does this person view your spirituality? I definitely feel like this person thinks that you utilize your spiritual understanding a lot as it relates to your romantic life. And I think specifically they feel like you connect to your spiritual understanding in order to understand your romantic connection, maybe specifically to them, but also perhaps just in general, because we do have the Lover's card as well. They feel like you're someone who really gets stressed out mentally a lot. Like maybe you overthink, you know, are we meant to be? You could be the kind of person who's always questioning, is this my soulmate? Is it not? Is this my twin flame? So it's like you embrace spirituality, you know, this is the way they're seeing it, you know, that you utilize spirituality a lot in order to try to understand who you're supposed to be with romantically, what's going on in your romantic connection. I feel like this person kind of feels like, you know, why are you doing that? You know, they sort of feel like, don't you just already know that you're loved? Like, why do you always have to be asking how I feel about you? Like, can't you just already tell? So they feel a little bit kind of frustrated with this. They don't always really appreciate your attitude towards your spirituality because you utilize it so much towards understanding romantic emotions and romantic connections and things like that. I feel like they are seeing that you really have more to offer. So it's a little bit, I can get a little bit of a judgy energy, but at the same time, they do feel that there is this higher level spiritual connection. It's just, I feel like they trust it more than you do. Like they trust it more than you do, or they think they trust it more than you do. Because I feel as well, like they do also get like jealous, and they get into a sort of a toxic energy as well as it comes to you romantically. And I think that that gets in the way of their own spiritual connection as well. But they are more focused on perceiving you that way. You know, I see them as like this 9 of Wands exhaustion card. They're exhausting themselves, but it's like they're kind of putting the blame on you and feeling like you're the one who's making this experience so exhausting because you're always never, they feel like you're never trusting that the love is just there. And so you're always seeking guidance, maybe from tarot readings, psychic readings, your own spirit guides about your love life. And they just feel like you need to move past that. They feel like there's more that you can be doing with it than just that. So I feel like they kind of think that you're wasting your time a little bit. So the next question is, how does your spirituality make them feel? Which we've already kind of answered. That was already kind of coming up for you guys. But we'll see more about it. We get the Hermit, the 3 of Swords, and the 8 of Pentacles. I feel like, it causes them pain, you know? It causes them pain. It makes them feel like you're more focused on trying to understand the connection through your spirituality than you are paying attention to them. Some of them might also feel like you're a workaholic and you put more of your attention on your work life than you do them. That it's almost like your work is also like your God, sort of. It's like you worship your career a little bit. Maybe some of you, they feel like you worship your solitude. So they might feel like you're sort of a workaholic as well. And somehow that is spiritual to you. Some of you might have a spiritual sort of career in some way. And it hurts them. It hurts them because they feel like, why aren't you just understanding that I love you? Why do you have to always be seeking some sort of confirmation of it? And or why are you so focused on other things other than me? So I think this person isn't really realizing their own selfishness or their own ego here. They're a little bit too focused on what they perceive to be your ego as it relates to your spirituality. And yeah, they feel like you cut them off sometimes from your life because you're really always going within. You're always focused on what you're creating in your life. And they just feel very torn because they feel like, well, where do I come? You know, what level am I the priority? I feel like is what they're asking. So now we're going to ask your spirit guides, how do they view this connection? Do they feel that the two of you are compatible? So we have the mirror coming up in between. Know thyself, self-examination, seeing who you really are. Well, both of you are compatible in the sense that you're definitely serving as a mirror to each other if you're willing to see it. You know, sometimes the mirror is a little bit fuzzy and you're not realizing that this person is a mirror. You're seeing them as something else other than yourself. Like, you know, the love interest that you're watching this for, as I said, they're focused too much on your ego or what they perceive to be your ego approach to spirituality, but they're not seeing their own, you know? They're not seeing their own. And probably you're doing the same. You might be feeling like they have a very egotistical approach to spirituality or maybe life in general. And you're a little bit just perceiving them in their ego self and not seeing as well that they're reflecting that back to you in a little way. And that's not a judgment because we all have an ego. The ego allows us to break the illusion of the ego. If the ego didn't exist, there wouldn't be this desire to break free of it. And I feel like both of you do have that desire because we have each of you, I think this is more your energy and this is more theirs. You're represented by Uranus, ruler of enlightenment, and they're represented by Mars, the ruler of destruction. Both of you are wanting to break down this illusion that the ego creates. So, you know, in a sense, yes, you are both in your ego, but you're also breaking free from the ego simultaneously. I mean, both of those have to be true. You can't be breaking free from the ego if the ego isn't present. But I think what your guides are saying here is that, you know, both of you as well need to break through a little bit from this inability to this projection, I guess, of this projection of your ego onto the other person. Realize that you're both doing the same thing. You're both in the same process in a slightly different way, but not entirely different way. You both have this desire to break down the illusion of the ego. And that means not just breaking it down within yourself, but breaking down the illusion that this person's ego is 90% of who they are. It's a part of who they are, but it's not the primary aspect of who they are. It's just one aspect of who each of us is the ego. So I think both of you are moving into a better place. I think both of you are sort of like a catalyst for the other person. And it's good to acknowledge that instead of being in this sort of blame or, you know, just seeing the lower vibration of the person. See all of who the person is. Both of you are needing to do more of that, I feel, is what the guidance is. So I hope that this message is understood, that the love of it is understood and well received. I thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you later. Bye-bye. All right, welcome to everybody who chose reading number 6, which was the Gladiola, and it says, strength of character and moral integrity. Character cannot be developed in ease and quiet. Only through experiences of trial and suffering can the soul be strengthened, vision cleared, ambition inspired, and success achieved. Helen Keller. So that's interesting because before I read that, I was just looking at the cards and thinking, this person probably sees you as someone who is very meditative, someone who maybe practices meditation and mindfulness as maybe a basis of your approach to spirituality, or They definitely feel that you can be developed in ease and quiet, because I get stepping stones and balance. These two cards to me both speak to me of like a meditative practice, and also nothingness, like being able to completely clear your mind. This Eight of Pentacles, ordinariness, it's like just really being able to be present in the moment and to be mindful. And we have this is the Osho Zen's version of the Chariot card, awareness. They feel like you're someone who really can see beyond the veil. You have access to kind of like a higher consciousness, and with the Falcon as well, you're able to kind of rise above the normal petty concerns of life and have these light bulb aha moments where you can just see so clearly and see the truth of things. This Holy Spirit card says, expect miracles. Remember that only love is real. Miracles will occur naturally. Spirit has your back. So I feel like they, with this quote card, they see you as someone who's maybe has experienced a lot of hardship, but you have found a way of rising above that so that you don't have to be in that place of hardship so much anymore. That you can kind of see beyond the illusion of suffering as well and get the higher perspective. And because of that, you're able to sort of trust life. You don't have to force life with your mind. Your mind can be very clear and just sort of allowing that truth of love to express itself throughout your life in so many ways. So you're someone who really trusts life. You trust the moment-to-moment experience of life. So they definitely see you as someone who has, who is successful in sort of rising above, rising above needing life to be so much about trial and suffering. It exists, right? We have the Justice, which is literally about trials, justice, trials, but, discerning right from wrong. They feel like you have a very balanced understanding of right and wrong, good and bad. And that you see beyond it into the truth of just love and the truth of maybe of nothingness. That beyond it all, there's really just nothingness, and that's okay. Everything else is sort of like a projection. So that's what they're seeing here. How does your approach to spirituality make them feel? We have the Star card. We get the Nine of Swords and the Empress. I really feel like what I'm getting here is more about how they view you. They view you as someone who enjoys your spiritual, your divine connection, but also who's very grounded in earthly material reality. Because this card also speaks about success achieved, ambition inspired, and success achieved. So you do have this connection to the divine, but you haven't forgotten earthly concerns entirely. I mean, maybe you can move beyond any sort of illusion that they present, but you still are experiencing material reality as real and as something to be enjoyed in a way. I feel like they also are seeing you as someone who's struggled with that, right? It's like you've struggled to enjoy your spiritual connection. You've struggled to enjoy earthly experiences. You have suffered in the process, maybe mentally more than anything else. So how is this making them feel? Or am I just getting how they observe you? How does that make them feel? I think maybe at some level it's like I think they just see themselves as the same in a way. Let's see. So we get a couple of repeating cards because we get the Chariot, which we had here. It's called Awareness in that deck. And we get Justice coming up again. I think that they can really relate to you is really what it is, because they also really struggle with this trying to understand good versus evil or right versus wrong. Is there an absolute truth? If so, what is the absolute truth? They can relate to you as someone who has experienced suffering but tries to see beyond the veil of suffering to see that truth. They can relate to you as someone who has ambitions but maybe hasn't completely met their earthly ambitions. I feel like it's just a strong energy of, I can relate. That's what it is. They perceive the two of you as having a very similar approach. So what about your spirit guides? Do they see your approach to spirituality as being compatible? Yeah, this is interesting. We have Jupiter, which I think is representing more you, and Gemini, which is them. But I also am feeling like each of you is on both sides of this. You know, Jupiter is the ruler of Sagittarius. Sagittarius is the sign that is opposite of Gemini. So they have a lot of similarities, but they have sort of opposite approaches. I think both of you crave this expanded awareness represented by Jupiter, but you also like want to talk about it represented by Gemini. Like you value both. It isn't just expanding the awareness, but it's also like, hey, let's sit down and have a conversation about it and ask some questions. With the Sanctuary card in the middle, I almost feel like the two of you both maybe sort of telepathically communicate to each other about these topics. You know, it's like maybe you're sitting there and you're imagining having a conversation with this person about spirituality, philosophy, all of this expanded awareness, because your awareness grows through this conversation. They don't even have to be physically present for you to be experiencing that. And you might not view that as telepathy. Maybe to you it's just, well, I'm imagining having this conversation, but I feel like both of you are doing that, and it's kind of it's kind of like telepathy. I mean, it is telepathy. You are communicating to each other about spirituality and expanded awareness telepathically. You don't have to even be physically present with each other. I think that you would both like to be physically present, though, and having these conversations. But they happen a lot of times when you're not physically present with each other. There's a lot of mutual respect here as well. I think both of you don't really want to violate the other person's personal space. You really respect the other person's boundaries, and maybe that's why you tend to have these conversations more in the etheric realms than you do in the physical realm. It might be like, I don't know, what are the words that I'm trying to find here? Yeah, you both have like these worldly ambitions that you need to be pursuing, maybe, that would make it difficult, and neither of you wants to get in the way of the other person's, what's going on with the other person. I think both of you view the other person as well as sort of like in a state of transition, like maybe needing to cut certain people out of your life, and you don't want to, maybe don't want to get involved in their process of working through and cutting through who no longer serves them, and vice versa. They don't want to get too much in your space because they see you as going through some sort of transformative experience. I do feel like they are sensing that there's sort of a destiny that and this is coming from your spirit guides as well. They feel they're saying that there was this is sort of fated for the two of you to know each other or have an awareness of each other, because there are certain kinds of awareness that each of you bring that you wouldn't have without the other person's presence in your life. Well, you really do sort of like help the other person burst through to this greater expanded awareness. This was a very interesting reading. This was very interesting. Yeah, I think also like both of you really have so much compassion for the other person because you both can sort of like, you both have a lot of empathy for the other person's burdens. Like they see certain burdens that you're carrying that maybe other people don't even see, and vice versa. You see that for them. This is so balanced. Like there's so much mutual understanding here, and it's really beautiful and it's very precious. I feel like your guides are also saying like, they want you to think about what do you really want with this person? Because I feel like you have the power to manifest it. So if you want to know this person more, have them be more present and physical in your life, then you could definitely manifest that. I think both of you are trying to figure out what exactly do you want. It definitely is a mental, it's heart-based. It's like heart and mind, you know? Like there's a strong mental harmony, a mental understanding, but also a very heart-based understanding. So yeah, that was really interesting. Yeah, you both really feel like the other person has a very strong strength of character. You feel like there's someone who acts with integrity, but also has been through some difficult moments, maybe interpersonally. So you can see beyond that. You know, you can be like, well, maybe you had a kind of a difficult interpersonal experience, but that doesn't make you a bad person, you know? All right, so for those of you who chose reading number 6, I hope that you enjoyed that. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you later. Bye-bye.